Hello and welcome to my channel, Learning for Fun. And in this video, we are going to take a look at the School of Management thought, the classical approach. So in this video, I would be explaining the bureaucratic model as given by Max Weber in 1900, scientific management as given by F.W. Taylor in 1910, and also the functional and administrative theory as given by Henry Fayol in 1910. So let's take a look at the bureaucratic model. Now this falls under the classical administrative school, and these are those times when the initial organizations were being set up. So the way of its functioning and management was bureaucratic in nature, which means there was a hierarchy, there were rules and regulations, there were procedures, and people were given their jobs according to their specialization. So not everybody was entitled to do every job, but then depending on their knowledge and experience and abilities, they were being given their roles. There was supposed to be impersonal relationship, and based on the competence and records, the management used to take place. Also, in the bureaucratic model, what happened was that the organizations were managed impersonally and formally. So there was no personal relationships existing in such models, in such organizations following this model. It was an objective type of organization, and so whatever was the rules and structures and procedures and other elements of the organization, that was applicable to every individual who was a part of that particular organization. Moving forward to the classical scientific management, as given by Frederick Winslow Taylor, what he believed was that scientifically the work needs to be managed. So, scientific management is concerned with knowing exactly what you want men to do and then see it that they are doing in the best and cheapest way. So as such, what happened was the rule of thumb, which was existing in the bureaucratic model, got changed up to scientific method of studying work. So the work was studied. It was broken into activities and tasks, and these tasks were matched with the capabilities of the employees in the organization. Scientifically, they were being selected and placed to execute those tasks, and enough training was provided to them as to how to carry on these tasks. Then they were being monitored on that whether they are following the instructions which were given to them or not. And if they were following the instructions, what was attached to it was a reward. And in case if they are not following these instructions and are unable to reach the required productivity, in that case what was attached to it was punishment. The idea being that the execution of such behavior would also make others motivated to follow the instructions that were given to them while pursuing a particular job. Moving forward to the functional and administrative management as given by Henry Fayol, he talks about 14 principles of management and also 5 functions of management. Let's first begin with the functions of management, and they are planning, organizing, commanding, coordinating, and controlling. So, what do we plan in an organization? There are many things, but then what is important to know is that what is a plan? A plan is nothing but a blueprint of action. So whatever you decide to do in future, you need to plan it up. That is planning. Okay, so you plan the activities, you plan the structure of the organization, you plan you plan about people in the organization, you plan about their experiences, you plan about the activities to be taken up, you plan about from where the resources would be coming, from where the materials would be coming. So that is planning. Then organizing is about conducting of the various activities and constructing the teams which would be taking up those activities. So that is organizing. You organize the task, you organize the functions. So that is organizing, and look here at the compatibility of the members across various teams or maybe across various departments who are there for organizing. Next is commanding, and commanding is again following the line of control, which means the superiors need to command their subordinates and the subordinates need to follow the commands as given by the superiors. Next is coordinating. Now, coordinating means to coordinate the activities which are taking place across the organization. So the different departments, are they functional in a synchronized manner or not? That is coordinating. And controlling is required when you see that there is a deviation happening between what is the set objective and what is being accomplished. So if at all there is a deviation, you need to control the process. And for that, what is required is monitoring. Moving forward to the principles of management, he had given up 14 principles of management, which are displayed on your screen right now. The first is division of work, which simply states that not everybody is entitled to do every work. So depending on your knowledge, depending on your specialization, the work would be assigned to you. Like not everybody can be engineer or doctor. We have got specialized roles existing. That's the first principle, and this is applicable to any organization. Second is authority and responsibility. If you recall the very famous dialogue coming from the movie Spider-Man, he says that with the authority, with power comes responsibility. So, a legitimate power is what we call as authority. So with authority, what is coming is responsibility. Both of them go hand in hand. That's the second principle. Third is discipline. So in an organization, discipline needs to be maintained and it should not be a chaotic situation, but everybody needs to be clear with what they have to do, whom they have to report, and how frequent. So the work the work profile needs to be clear. The job description needs to be clear to the workers in any organization. Next is unity of command. So the command needs to be united. Whatever the top management is saying, the same needs to be reflected by the middle management and the low level management. So there needs to be a unity of command. I am talking about the content of that is being passed up from the top level management down. Next principle is unity of direction, and what it says is that one person should be receiving up commands from just one boss. Okay, so there has to be a unity of direction. Not everybody can start telling you what to do. You need to be able to identify, you have to report to whom, and you have to follow the commands of whom. So that is unity of direction. Next is subordination of individual interest to general interest, and here the general interest is about the organization, what the organization is for, its mission, vision, and objectives, and individual interests can be of the employees. So, whatever the employees want from the organization, that is their individual interest. Now, if at all these two are contradicting, if at all these two are contrasting, we need to pay attention to the general interest and not to the individual interest. That is the sixth principle. Seventh is fair remuneration, and all it says is that equal pay for equal work. So there should not be any kind of discrimination and fair remuneration across different organizations of the same nature. You need to provide a fair remuneration to the employees. Next is centralization and decentralization. So certain authority, certain responsibility would be centralized and certain needs to be decentralized. Okay, so not everything can be decentralized because both these aspects are having their pros and cons. Similarly, not everything can be centralized as there would be a lot of difficulties in the execution of the task. So certain things need to be centralized, certain needs to be decentralized. Next is scalar chain, and scalar chain again is talking about the flow of command. The flow of communication needs to follow a scalar chain. Whether we are talking about the upward communication or downward communication, a scalar chain needs to be followed, which means we need to be sure about whom are we supposed to report, whatever it be, whether these are the commands or directions, or these are the suggestions or complaints. So whether it is a downward communication or an upward communication, that doesn't matter, but you have to follow the flow, you have to follow the line of command. Next is order. There needs to be order in the organization. That means there needs to be a right place for everything. Everything, not just the people, but also the objects which are there in the organization. So people need to know, like where is a canteen, where is their office, where do they have to sit, where do they have to file complaints, okay, where do they have to fill up certain forms. So that is order. Next is equity, and equity talks about fair treatment. So there needs to be fair treatment across the organization. So the treatment needs to be impersonal in nature and equitable. Now, equity means those who are having more, to them what we give is less, and those who are having less, to them we give more. Okay. Next is stability of tenure of personnel. So you cannot just transfer or promote the persons just in an year or so, because that will be creating a chaos and the person will not be able to understand the responsibilities properly. So there needs to be a stability of tenure of the personnel. The next is initiative. So initiative is about freedom to think and execute a plan. And this needs to be provided by the organization, by the management. Everybody should be motivated to take up initiatives. And last is spirit de corps, that is team spirit. So while working in an organization, what needs to exist is team spirit, and people should work as a team. So not just accomplishing their individual objectives, but also the objectives of the team. So these are the 14 principles as given by Henry Fayol, and we have come to an end to the classical approach in the School of Management thought. I hope you understood these three um, models. That's bureaucratic model, scientific management, and functional and administrative theory. If you like the video, hit the like button. If you want to see such videos further, do subscribe to my channel. And if you have got any suggestions or comments, feel free to post in the comment section. Also, you can write to me personally your doubts at the email ID which is given below. And if you want to take a look at this presentation, do check the blog which is mentioned in the description. Thank you and have a nice time ahead. Remember, learning is for fun.